Peace, peace. Hey, yo, hey. Maya Kiana here. Welcome back to Philly Unsung with Pop. Dad, what's going on? How you feeling today?
I can't complain. All praise is due to the Master, Almighty God. You know what it is. It's all Dap-Sugar. It's all Dap-Sugar.
Shay, all Dap-Sugar. I'm glad you said that. So the people have got to see you on YouTube in this capacity for 2 weeks. At this point, this will be our third interview, and this will be a great opportunity to give them some background into who Pop is, your upbringing in North Philly, 11th, Indiana. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because we know what's going on, but let the people know.
Well, I'll tell you the story at the beginning of the legacy. It was in the early 70s. You know, we was gang on, and being, like I said, being a member from 11th, Indiana, I felt privileged. Like I used to tell my homies, like, you know, I think that we special for a gang because, you know, it don't mean a lot now, but when you young, all the things that meant stuff to gangs, like we had our own state store, like we had our own movie, the Avenue movie, and we had 9 or 10 of the hottest bars, you know, in the community. And also we had 3 of the finest clothing stores, you know, in the community. So when I'm teasing with my homies, I was saying, yo, man, it's like we lived in Rosewood. Like, we was real privileged. We ain't really know it, but, you know, for a gang, you know, like other gangs have to go other places to go to the state store, but we had everything. So I really felt privileged to be a member of, you know, 11th in Indiana, aka 11th in the Fly, you know. But, you know, in saying that, it also led to what I call now my persona, because in the early 70s, I went by the name of Sugar Pop. My homies named me that because I had a soft voice, you know. Back then I was young, slim, fly, you know, a ladies' man. So, you know, they just started calling me Sugar Pop. I was sharp with my hands, so everything that was sweet, you know, so they started calling me Sugar Pop. But in the middle of the 70s, when I realized that and recognized that I was a connoisseur of fine haberdashery, and started wearing them gaiters and them, this was about 74, 75, and he started wearing them gaiters and all that. So
As you can see.
Then it had to transform. The transformation was made. It became, damn, people say, damn, Dap-Sugar Pop. I was already Sugar Pop.
Just built on top of
right,
the
you
foundation.
know, and I'm Dap-Sugar Pop. So, in going and saying that, I took that into another level. Then I made that not only a slogan, I tried to make that my persona, you know. So when you hear me say that it's all Dap-Sugar, that means that everything is lovely and smooth, you know, the way it's supposed to be. And my version of Dap-Sugar may not be yours. Everybody got a Dap-Sugar. It's what makes you complacent. So it's not a one-dimensional thing, it's just my name.
That make a lot of sense. Rings a lot of bells, especially in the time where brand building is such a big fad, I would say. You speak to that in its true nature, brand building.
Right, in its entirety, exactly. Because, like, if I say it's all Dap-Sugar and say to me, I'm just saying my meaning of it. It may be that I'm sharp, everything going smooth. You know, as a grown man now, it fluctuates, because what was Dap-Sugar then may not be, it wouldn't be Dap-Sugar now, you know what I mean? Right in the streets. And so if I say, you know, it's all Dap-Sugar, that means that I'm content in doing everything that I'm supposed to do as a father, a husband, you know, a son, you know, my bills paid. You know, I might not have a lot of money, but everything is cool. I'm fly, because I try to keep myself to 3 F's. If you want to know what that means, it's fly, flashy, and flamboyant. So as long as I can do that, then it's all Dap-Sugar. But your version of Dap-Sugar may be if you can get your hair done. Dap-Sugar is whatever make you feel good. You know what I mean?
I love that. So when y'all look at me, y'all see the brand building, the things that I got going on, just know that this is the foundation. This is where it all comes from. It's an honor to be able to sit here and talk to somebody who has that experience and just that natural state of being to even think about those type of things or do those type of things without thinking about them.
And it's an honor to sit with somebody young, which happens to be a product of good environment, to be able to understand what I'm trying to say, because it's not too many people y'all age that want to. Their version of Dap-Sugar might be going to shoot somebody, but killing ain't Dap. Ain't nothing sweet about it. Ain't nothing Dap-Sugar about, you know what I mean? Like I said, you could take it in any concept, but the wrong concept. You know what I mean? I don't mean go around with an old lady. And if a person heinous, they might think that's their version.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? So I don't want to send no false messages to about bad stuff. You know what I mean?
But that's the only thing, is that bad itself is a perception.
Right.
So everybody gonna have
a perception. Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But it's to fit each person's persona. You know what I mean? You would just hope nobody would take it because it wasn't meant. Everything is good. Everything about it was good, of a good aura. Nice dressing, nice looking, nice clothes, nice. No, we're with the derogatory part. Come right, so it was nothing meant to ever be malicious. You know what I mean?
Is that something that you think about when you creating these slogans and characteristics? Do you think about like how they may be interpreted by other people, or do you just focus more so on your intention?
Well, I take from my intentions and try to spread the knowledge to somebody else. So it might start with my intention, but if I can, that's why I tried to make it as prevalent for everybody instead of saying this is my own persona. That it's all Dap-Sugar, like, you know what I mean. Right. I own the word, but I don't own the feelings. You know what I mean? So that's how I try to, keep it. That's why everybody got their version. You know what I mean? Of Dap-Sugar, but mines can't fluctuate. Dap-Sugar to me have to be, I got to still beef, I got to have gators, I got to have So it can't be no fluctuation in my version of Dap-Sugar, but I don't expect everybody else to live up to those same, expectations, because, that may not be their persona. It might be just something they like to say, or, but they, see, when I say it, I feel it, I mean it, it's all Dap-Sugar, you know what I mean? It's all good. It's all sweet.
Oh, all right. They got me feeling good. These conversations always have me feeling good. It's all Dap-Sugar. And that leads me into another question I wanted to ask. Going back into your upbringing, your background in Indiana, what role did Black women play in your upbringing? With Mother's Day being on the rise, and it's always just a time to venerate and respect the maternal aspect. So what would you say to that? They
played a very, very dominant role, and because what I mean by that is, no matter who you was outside in the streets, how your reputation was or how your reputation precedes you, like me, outside here, I was Sugar Pop. I'm nice with the hands, it's all Dap-Sugar, but when I was home, I was me. I was regular. You know what I mean? Or the stuff you did outside, and I might have been a feared man on the streets, or well respected. I put it that way, because I never try to bully nobody. So I was just well loved and well respected on the streets. But I still had to go to school. I still had to come, because I was the oldest out of all my siblings. So I still had to get A's and B's. So I had to sneak. I had to gang war and sneak to school through 11 other gangs, so my mom don't kill me. So I ain't worried about the killers outside. I'm worried about, but that's how the Black woman was back then, to the Black community. It didn't matter how hard you was in the streets or who your name was, or even the other gangsters, even people from other, parts of town, or people that you may have been, in altercation with. If you was with your mom or your sister, you get a pass. You know what I mean? So that's how prevalent and that the moms were, because most of the time back then it was very rare that you had the mom and the pop that was together. So most of the time the mom was really the backbone, the bread and butter to the whole operation.
And why do you think that has changed today?
I think it changed a lot because the times changed a lot. And a lot of times now you have, I'm gonna give you an example of what I'm talking about. I was on the corner one day, I was coming out the store, so I'm dressed, it's all Dap-Sugar. I'm doing my damn dress. So I see the young boy, he outside, he got his pants hanging down, he got his certain look, he doing his thing. So I'm like, man, young, you know what I mean? I don't know why the young boys don't try to, dress up, because you can tell that they admire good things, because when they see me, they know the difference, because they say, dang, OG, you sharper than a, you know what I mean? So in saying that, I be thinking like, hey, don't y'all want to convert? Don't y'all want to come over? Not that I can make them, but to make a long story short, a car pulled up, boom, boom, and the young boy dad jumped out the car. So I guess the younger must have been about 25. So just on speculation, I'm going to say maybe his dad was 40, 43, 44. His pants was lower than the son's. So that's kind of where that, you know what I mean? It's like
generationally passed down habits.
Right, because we did what our predecessors did. Like me, I learned from the finest a habit that my pop, Big Pop, my pop named Big Pop. My cousin Ralph Jr., he was called Pop. I'm really Little Pop. My Pop Dean, my father, Jimmy James Redden, all these guys wore that, you know what I mean? They wore that thing. And if I'm 65, they in their 80s, so all I was around was kind of sores of that. I just took it to another level, you know what I mean? Because once they taught me and it was something good and magnificent that I done, I just couldn't stop. It was like a drug. That's what I mean by All Dap-Sugar, you know what I mean?
You touch on a great point, though, and I think that speaks to the qualities of you being able to take the positive out of what was passed down to you. Because in that generational transference of knowledge, behaviors, is also that negative trait, the shadow side, the dark side.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's the part that a lot of times bears its head and makes each generation look at the previous one or the future one and be like, y'all ain't doing what y'all was supposed to do, or have any type of negative. Like, that's where that tension between generations comes from.
Because the disparity comes because it's a drop in the gap. Here's what I'm trying to explain. I'm 65. Now, like when we was coming up, your old head didn't have to be 20 years older than you. Okay, if I'm 65, now my next old head will be catting them. They will be 68. 68. And then the next group of old heads over them will be 71. So we was guided, right. So we was guided down so closely that we all repeated what we saw our predecessors, do. But I noticed that the drop in the gap came when the crack era came, when the epidemic came, then it became distance. Young mothers was having babies, and they was having babies because they was getting high. So that added a new,
Definitely a lot of factors that go into it, and I wanted to touch on that part because it's important to take the situation holistically. And you did a great job at explaining like the light side of what can be passed down, and I just wanted to touch on the shadow side of what can be passed down as well.
Well, that's another thing that behooves me with the younger generation too, because say if you got a parent that does 6 or 7 things tremendously. Okay, so say they might have a drug problem, or say they might smoke cigarettes, or they might
be human, because
they're human, and we all gonna make mistakes. But don't just take the mistakes that they make to make yourself a loser. Take the good things that they did and make yourself a winner. That's what I always get out. It's going to be positive and negative. That's what the world is based on. So, it's just like if somebody come up to you, you got two kind of people. You got people that was born to win, and you got people that make excuses for the lose. What I mean by that is a person can walk up and say, oh yeah, you're a loser, and you can see a person that's down on their luck, and they'll use that and say, they've been calling me a loser all my life. So I guess, but then you got the kind of person that's like me. If somebody keep on saying that, I'm gonna show you how much of one I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna let that be excuse for me to fold,
Yep.
because failure is not an option where we come from. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, some people gonna persevere more than others, but on an overall basis, failure is not an option.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's one thing that goes into making the melanated person stronger. I feel like we have those characteristics that allow us to be stronger, like 10 times stronger, because we got to navigate so many different things that a lot of people wouldn't even conceptualize.
Well, that's because to whom much is given, much is expected. You know what I mean? Lord give you a lot of talent and blessings and all that. He expect you to go around and share that around, you know what I mean? Because like this, he only going to give you what you can handle. So if you're a person that's, like, sometimes I used to say, well, how come this fall on me, or how come that fall on me, or this, and then I start realizing when you want all this notoriety and you want to be, and you want everything to be Dap-Sugar, you got to earn it. Yep. You know what I mean? Dap-Sugar ain't crystal grains coming from the heaven. Mm-hmm. It's still something you gotta earn it, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I look at life like a gym. Like, everything is reps. You gotta work at it. Everything is a muscle. Build it up, get better at it.
And the more you practice, the sweeter the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That is something that you just ain't gonna get there, you know, or be born there, or, you know, it's something that you gotta work for.
And it always gets better. There's always something more. Like,
that's
once
right.
You climb that hill, you feel confident. It's always one above it. You can keep going.
That's
the
why,
only limit is you.
That's why that first record I sung on the first one, I think, listen to your heart,
yep.
Follow every dream. Because it's something out there for you too. You just got to follow it. You know what I mean? But you can't let everybody else sidetrack you. If you're a good basketball player or you're a good singer, don't let your man talk you into robbing a supermarket.
And I think the problem, like, it's so many influences that come with that. But my personal, y'all know, brand is built on self-love, because without that strong sense of self, which is instilled in me, it's like you don't know where you're going, essentially. So it's easier to get sidetracked and distracted. Because
you thinking you fitting right where society wants you to fit.
Mm-hmm.
So you taking that mediocre role to society that, oh, well, this is all I'm supposed to do. But I like that kind of stuff, because I'm the opposite. Oh man, if you going, I'm gonna do this.
Even with somebody like me too, like, because I'm not going to exempt myself. I'll also go through those situations, just like you said, trying to figure out where you fit in the grand scheme of society. For example, like, I enjoy the work that I do, but knowing that I don't want to work a job for my entire life. So it's like, it's a lot that's always churning in the mind, especially of a black person, a creative.
Yeah, but you gotta jump start over most people that's way older than you, because most people get stereotyped. Most of our people get stereotyped. 9 to 5. That's all they know. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I'll give you a prime example. When I came out of work and I got injured, so I would get Social Security disability. So they wanted me to come back to work, but it was a big choice. So I said, I thought about it, but the differential in pay would be like $700 or something less monthly per month with Social Security disability, because you only get like 68% of your natural earnings.
Okay.
So it was a big business decision. So I said, well, now do I lose this $700 a month, or do I go back and make myself a slave to the establishment? I'm 55 years old at that time. I'm killing myself. I had a hernia operation, and I went to the hospital one time. I stayed for 7 days because I had some kind of infection that came. So I never been hospitalized in all my life. So in these two instances, and within 1.5 years, my life almost came to an end. So I had to make a decision. I said, well, 30% less on, on my check, I would have to take that and stay out for my, for my health reasons before I kill myself.
Right.
But if I wasn't street orientated and knew how to make the ends meet, then I would be stuck in society like those people that don't. Because everybody else said, I wouldn't do that. That's $7 a month. But they didn't have the same, perseverance level that I had.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But that's 7 death month. That's 7 death. I almost croaked on the last time. So that 7 wasn't, you know what I mean?
Right.
You had to make choices then.
And God speaking all languages. That was a sign right there. Like,
never been in the hospital before, even though I got sickle cell, but I never been hospitalized before. 2 times in almost a year and a half. And one time I almost died. I stayed in there 8 days. I said, nah, that got to be a sign.
Right.
I didn't want to, how to say 3 strikes you out. I wasn't going for the 3rd one for my life. So
yeah, definitely.
it's decisions that have to be made. But you got to base your decisions upon what you want to do. You can't let nobody else make them for you. Because if I was that kind of individual, I'd been back to work. Because that's what everybody else was saying. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, you crazy. Yeah, but
That's so powerful. When
going back to work wasn't Dap-Sugar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't that sweet about that?
Yeah, that wasn't Dap-Sugar.
Wasn't nothing
Yeah.
that.
And then it's just like God speaking in all languages, that being one of his languages, making things happen in order for you to see what you should be doing and where you should be aligning, even with humans in your area saying go back to work.
And
God had
you know
already
what?
said.
But that's like they say, give me a sign.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was already contemplating, so he gave me the sign to say, don't worry about what nobody else saying. This is what you need to do. So exactly, precisely. That was the proper guidance. And you know what? Honestly, telling the truth, it's a sad thing to say. I ain't had a broke day since I ain't worked. That's terrible.
That's beautiful.
That is
beautiful.
I mean,
That's
it is, but that's
say,
terrible
right?
to say about society.
Great thing.
Like,
I love it. And that's why I speak those things with
broke
joy
day
and pride so
since
people
I ain't
can
worked.
stop pushing that outdated narrative, because a lot of it's crazy how many people is going through turmoil right now just because of that one outdated passed down mindset. Go get a job to make a living,
or go to college and the
and it's the fact that we know that that's not it. Even though we may not know exactly what else to do, it's no reason that not wanting to do that should be causing issues, because we already know why
Right.
niggas don't want to do that. Like,
and you know why they don't want to do it? Because it's putting money in the institution's pocket. I mean, where's the guarantees at? See, before they used to trick you with that. It was the great American dream. Go to school, go to college, you get a good education. Now, just like you went to college, you graduated from Temple, which is a nice operation. But what did they guarantee? What did they grant? They don't get nobody no jobs. They don't. Now, it's one thing I want to touch on too, that I noticed in the community. It's a lot of planes flying around, and they saying they dropping this stuff for allergies and all of that. But here's my thing. I'm not Confucius or Socrates or the smartest man in the world. But when did the love come so much that y'all dropping so much so we don't get allergies but people can't eat? Come on, I mean,
just like COVID.
That's what I'm saying. Then when people make you suspect of doing things to the people and all of that, y'all want to argue and lie. But when you worried about everybody's allergy, but a man don't have allergies, he died, right? So I'm saying, what the moral of the story? But we just, and that's another thing too. I try to keep that same demeanor no matter whatever society throw at. Because with all the stuff society throw at us, if we wasn't strong-minded and highly persevering type people, it would never be Dap-Sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I had to find a place of tranquility where that nobody can. What they gonna do? Burn up all my clothes, my suits, what they gonna do? You know what I mean? All the things that makes that persona, what they gonna do? Cut my hands off because I was sharp with them? What they gonna cut my face up with a knife because I would have wavy hair? You know what I mean? So that's like a place, a corner that I can always be in, as long as I keep myself in it. I ain't to say if I become a robber or a drug addict or, well, it wouldn't be Dap-Sugar. You know what I mean? So.
The last question I had prepared was just for you to share a life lesson from growing up in 11th in Indiana. And I know that brings probably thousands, but if you could pick
one lesson I can say is coming up through 6 or 7 epidemics in all my life. I'm saying from crack, cocaine, LSD, methamphetamine. You never know the type of individual you are. Like, most people try to keep their kids and stuff away from stuff like that, which is understandable. But my perception of the whole thing is you have to have strength. You have to have perseverance, because in order to beat something, you have to be able to be around it and not let it defeat you. Because hiding and winning is 2 different things. You don't beat a drug habit or whatever habit you got by going away. You get treatment. That's your treatment. You go away to get, but you haven't beat that habit. The man that beat that habit is the man that stayed there and everything is still there and never do it again. And I've seen many black men do it. So you know what I mean?
Testament to strength.
Bottom line is, let no man or woman write my epitaph. And I was 8 years old, just to tell you a short story. I was 8 years old. TV was still black and white. We was living in the projects. So it was this movie with Burl Ives and Shelley Winters. It was called Let No Man Write My Epitaph. So me always being an intellect, you know what I mean? I'm 8 years old now. What 8 years old looking at a black and white TV, you gonna think you can catch the word epitaph?
Right.
Like epitaph. So it bothered me, because I really didn't know what an epitaph, and I'm only 8. I really ain't know what an epitaph was. I'm like, but whatever it sound like don't let no man dictate yours.
Right.
I knew it had something to do with.
Got the context clues.
At 8, as I watched the movie, I saw how Burl Ives and then they got Shelley Winters. She ended up being a drug addict and all of that, and all, losing her soul and all. So at 8 years old, I realized that the concept was like, don't let no man or woman or nothing that man or woman put here take you off of your square. But I realized that at 8, before the picture was over. Like, as I saw what was going on with her, like, this was, because she was fine until this man came along in her life and gave her dope and all of that. And so, maybe she changed from the epitaph that God had written for, because she let that man change it with that need. But at 8 years old, by the time that movie was over, that was always my motto since 8. Let no man, because I understood what the epitaph was. And I said, let no man or woman write my epitaph. Like, only God's supposed to be epitaph writing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Wrote it when I came here, and that's the one that's going to be, no matter
that's
how
the one that count.
Right.
That's the one that count.
Living is just a life journey. You might get, things happen, but you always go back to the main script, the one that was written by the Most High.
Definitely.
All right, Dad. So this was episode 3. Now it's time for that lovely time for those vocals. What you got on your heart to share today?
All right, here we go. It goes a little something like this, as my man Mr. Hart would say. It goes a little something like, if I had a dime, boy, every time I dreamed about you, I'll tell you no joke. Yes, I'm really broke. Hey, without you, girl, without you. And oh, tell me, what should I do? When you told me that you love me, darling, are you gonna break your promise, baby? Well, now you're acting so strange, babe. You said that you needed me, and now you're acting so strange, babe. If I saw you with somebody new, I'd be so helpless. Be so helpless. So tell me, what are you gonna do? Don't leave me breathless. Leave me breathless. And oh, tell me, what should I do when you told me